Hey, welcome to another edition of Muscle Research Review. Now, there's nothing but quick research summaries for the very busy health and fitness professional. So let's get started. How many of you guys use quadruped exercises on your patients and clients? If so, a new study looked at trunk muscle activity during the arm raise, the leg raise, and alternate arm and leg raise for patients with chronic low back pain. And here's what they found. For the right internal oblique, muscle activity during leg raise was significantly greater than arm raise. For the bilateral multifidus and lumbar iliocostalis, muscle activity during alternate leg and arm raise was greater than arm raise or leg raise. A study recommends using leg raise over the arm raise for those with chronic low back pain. Also, if you're going to progress someone to the alternate leg and arm raise, make sure the patient has the ability to stabilize the spine first. I just find too many people, and sometimes I'm guilty of this also, is to kind of progress somebody right away into the arm and leg raise a little bit faster than they really should. Again, watch for stability of the spine. The sternoclavicular joint can sometimes be the source of mechanical pain, but what's the best way to figure this out? Now, there's a new study that looked at 5 tests that one can use to find this. They looked at local swelling, pain at palpation, pain during arm elevation, pain during active scapular protraction, and pain at active scapular retraction. Tests with the highest sensitivity were pain on palpation and active scapular protraction. Local swelling also showed 100% specificity. Apart from pain on palpation, adding the active scapular protraction is a good clinical diagnostic tool to further nail that diagnosis. It's definitely something you want to add to your toolbox. PNF stretching versus passive stretching. Which has an effect on neuromuscular performance? A new study here took 18 males over an 8-week period split into 2 groups, one for PNF and the other for passive stretching. Both were similar in inducing flexibility changes. However, there was an attenuation to electrical mechanical delay performance only during PNF conditioning. In plain English, that just means that PNF conditioning preserved capability for rapid muscle activation, which is important in maintenance of dynamic joint stability. Now, the main point here is choose PNF over passive stretching to preserve dynamic joint stability. How many of us still equate radiological findings with severity of injury? Now, there's a new study that looked at 117 females, found that there was no correlation between functional capacity of knee and muscle strength and radiological findings. Instead, you got to look at such things as pain and decreased range of motion. I still see people walk through the door tell me that they're really bad off because their x-ray shows severe OA. However, most of us need to really educate our patients and clients on focusing more on function and strength and not what the x-rays say. Is it me, or are there more and more people doing kinesio taping these days? Now, there's a new randomized trial that just asked the question, does kinesio taping reduce swelling in athletes who have suffered an acute ankle sprain? Study results say no. There was no change at 3 days or 15 days between the kinesio group and a group that received inner kinesio taping applications. Now, does this mean kinesio taping doesn't work? Not really. There are conflicting studies out there, but it really depends on the clinical findings and treatment strategies of each individual professional and their patient or client. What's your experience with kinesio taping? Have you seen significant improvements to warrant continued use? Hot or cold? Now, how many times do we get asked this question from patients and clients? For acute muscle injury or recovery from delayed onset muscle soreness, it appears there still aren't many solid clinical trials to conclusively answer this question. A new study looked at the literature review and came to this exact conclusion. Here's what they found. There is limited evidence from randomized controlled trials supporting the use of cold therapy following acute muscle injury or delayed muscle soreness. The same goes for topical heat in general. However, there was evidence that heat wrap therapy provided short-term reduction in pain and disability in patients with acute low back pain and greater pain relief of delayed onset muscle soreness than cold therapy. What are your thoughts and experiences on this? Do you agree with the findings, or do you have a specific strategy that you always follow? And that's it for today's session of Muscle Research Review. We'll see you guys next time.